Hello humans, it is I, Mr. Bell, with the first drawing exercise we're doing in our new unit that is going to be all about illusions. It's visual illusions, and the illusions in the sense of lies that we tend to believe. So this again is exercise number 1, and that is illusion. That's illusion, ILLUSION. Today is November 9th, and today's illusion, the first one we're starting with, is the jagged hole illusion. I am using a ruler for this. Yes, my straight edge. If you do not have access to a ruler, that's okay. You can use the edge of a piece of paper or the edge of a piece of cardboard. Really anything that has a flat edge, remember, it can be used as a straight edge. If you have a ruler, though, ruler is probably the best way to go for this. Okay, first step of this, you want to leave about that much. This is a little bottom portion of your page empty for this illusion, but you can really take up this whole other business with it. The first thing you need to do is you need to make the jagged shape of your hole. And the way you do that is you just are going to make a continuous line that's really jagged, that's going to go all the way around onto itself. You want this to be pretty jagged in the sense that you want a bunch of different lines, and they all have to come to perfect points like that. So point, and then this one again, it's going to be another point. So I'm going to quickly kind of make a whole shape of a bunch of these jaggedy points that are sticking out, and ultimately will kind of wrap up on itself. Different lengths of lines, but you want it all to be up, down, kind of like a lightning bolt. You don't want to have anything that ends up being kind of square looking. That one there, it's going to go all the way down in the corner, and I'm going to have one there. Now I'm going to have one start pointing down, like so. Put one here. So remember, I want you to be working alongside this video. So I'm going to give you guys time to get your supplies together. But really, my hope is that while I'm doing this, you are also doing this. Bam. I think I'm going to have 2 more little points here. Like so, and now that I have this, now all I have to do is connect these 2 last lines. And voila, I have a jagged shape. Now what you need to do is somewhere below this line here, near the, if you didn't draw this line, it's okay, you don't need it. But somewhere near the bottom of the page, put a little X. So what this illusion does is it works in the realm of using perspective to kind of trick your eye into seeing, feeling like this is going to be a hole that kind of goes down forever, creating that illusion of a 3-dimensional space on this 2-dimensional piece of paper. So I want you to picture yourself standing in a giant room, so big that the walls, you can't see them, and the floor just kind of goes on and on and on and on forever. And you're standing right here, like this pencil, looking this way into that room, and right in front of you there is a giant hole that's shaped like however you have drawn it. So this hole right here, you're standing here, and this is all flat. Anything on the outside of this shape is flat, and just goes on and on forever. And anything inside of this shape, that's going to be where that hole is. So what you want to do first is you want to start at the top of your illusion. So I'm going to start with this point right here. I'm going to call the ones that stick out from the shape, these are going to be called points, and then these ones that stick into the shape, I'm going to call those valleys, and we're going to be working with both of them. First thing I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to pick one at the top, and that's going to be my starting point, and then I'm going to work around this way clockwise when I do this. I'm going to take my straight edge, I'm going to put it from that point, and then every line you draw will always be drawn towards this X. If you're drawing a line that is not ending or not going towards this X, you are doing this wrong. But if you are going to that as X, it's a good chance that you are doing it right. So I'm going to draw a line starting from that point, and I'm going to draw it towards that X, but I'm not going to go all the way to it, because every line I draw for this is going to stay in this shape. So I'm going to have this line go all the way down to there. Now I'm going to move down here to this valley. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to line my straight edge up with the tip there and to that X. Now I'm going to go. This X is called the vanishing point, and that means that basically if you were to like lean over this hole, you're not going to be able to see where you can't see anymore. But if you were to lean over the edge of this hole and look down, there would be a point that things are just too far away for you to see with your human eyes. So then things tend to vanish. They're still there, but you can't see them anymore. And that's why this is called the vanishing point. I'm going to go ahead and do this. And then I'm going to keep going until I run into an issue here. I'm going to do a couple in a row. From here to Schmear. Then I'm going to go over to this one. This is the first one now that I'm running into, making it a little bit more complicated. But as you can see, you can kind of see this illusion starting to come. So like this is a wall of that hole that you're seeing. Each one of these different shapes we're drawing here. But like this one is going to go in and this one will stick out. And as you fill in more of these, it'll start to look more and more like it should. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to this one and I'm going to see where I would draw lines for this. So this line would go, I wouldn't draw this because this is not inside that hole, so you wouldn't see this part of the wall. But then I can go all the way from here all the way down here. But don't want to do that. And the reason I don't want to do that is because as I look at this, I notice that there's this point out here. So I'm going to quickly draw this wall that you would see in this illusion. I'm going to go from here to there. But then when you look at it, this wall, if you were standing here and looking this way, this wall would actually block your view of anything that's going on behind it. So this jagged hole here, this part of the jagged hole would stick out here, and you wouldn't really see the corner of it, because again, this floor right here would be blocking this part, and then this wall would be blocking any other view of that. So I'm not going to draw anything there. And I'm going to kind of double check that every time. And if you mess up, because this gets really confusing really quickly, draw these lines soft so you can erase them. So I'm going to go from that corner to that X right there. Since I'm kind of past the halfway point on this side, I forgot to mention, I'm going to go back up to the top, and then I'm going to go down here to about that midsection. Then I'm going to work on these bottom ones. A lot of these bottom lines you won't actually see. I'm going to go to this valley right here. I'm going to go do the same thing I did from that X to that valley, like schmo, like that. Then I'm going to go over to this point right here. I'm going to go back down to that same vanishing point. Remember, each one of these lines you draw should be going to that vanish point. If it's not doing that, you're doing it wrong. So then I notice here, I didn't see. This is a pretty good example. So I didn't notice that this point sticks in. So that means that this floor, anything, remember, outside of the shape is floor. Anything inside of the shape is going to be walls that go down. You wouldn't see that right there, because this floor would be covering it. So I'm going to erase that. And then I'm going to think about it. This wall, since this sticks out so far, it would be this wall that you would see. So I'm going to draw that. I'm going to go from the point here to that same vanishing point. And I'm going to draw it. So this wall from this corner right here, this would be blocking the view of the valley line that you have here. You would see it up at the top, but you would not see it past that, because this wall, again, would be blocking it from your view, because remember, you are standing right where this X is, and your eyes are only being able to see what is in front of them, and you can't see through walls. I'm going to do this one, see where it goes, see if it makes sense to draw. Because sometimes you kind of just got to get brave and draw that line. Maybe it'll line up. Yeah, so you would see that valley right there. But then again, this big jagged line that I drew here, that would block your view. This wall would block the view of this line and this line here. I'm going to see if this one makes sense to draw. Nope, because any line, I can tell just because any line that I draw would be outside of the shape. But these walls down here towards the bottom would definitely be covering this bad boy right there. So I'm not going to draw any line for that guy. Now I'm going to double check. I'm going to go make sure if there is a line, like an angle right here, a point or a valley that doesn't have a line on it, I'm going to double check to make sure it doesn't need one. Then I look at this one. This one definitely would need one. I'm going to go from that valley to the vanishing point again. And again, I'm going to end before I get outside of that shape. So you wouldn't really see this line because, again, the floor would cover it all up. Same with this one. The floor would cover that part of that wall. You wouldn't be able to see it from your viewpoint. Then let's see if this one is necessary. Yep, it is, but I'm going to check this one first. Same deal. You would see this one. I'm going to draw it down there. I'm going to skip. Then this isn't a line. You wouldn't see this line here, but I'm going to draw it again just to illustrate it, because this floor would be covering up this section. I'm definitely not going to put a line there. Any lines outside of the shape, you don't want them. I'm going to put that there. And I look at it, so that makes sense. Like you can kind of see this going down, but again, this wall would be blocking the bottom part of what you could see there. So I'm going to draw this line. And once I draw this line, it makes a lot less sense to have this line right there. So now you can see the beginnings of this illusion are there, and that this illusion really is created in the fact that this floor covers up this wall. Same with like this floor covering up this. And the real secret of it is, though, is because you're using that vanishing point. You're having all of the angles you draw head towards that vanishing point. Again, this is going to be this is kind of dipping our toes into the idea of perspective and the idea that things get farther away. They get smaller when when objects are closer to you. They get substantially larger. Before I end this is what I want you guys to have drawn for this exercise. We're going to do a little bit more work on this later, but for now this is groovy. But before I end it, I do want to illustrate that idea of things that things that are far away appear to be smaller, and things that are closer appear to be larger. So I'm placing my hand right here on my page. And then this hand is about, I would say, about 1.5 feet away from the lens of my camera. And think of the lens of my camera as the eyes of the camera, just like the cameras you have in the middle of your face called your eyes. Then I'm going to hold my other hand up here, really close to the lens. So this hand right here is about 2 inches away from my camera lens, and this one again is about 1.5 feet. Notice how my hand that's close to the lens appears to be very large. Notice that my hand down here appears to be very small. This is the size of my pointer finger. And then as I bring my pointer finger up towards the lens, notice how much larger and larger and larger and larger and larger and larger it gets, until really even just one knuckle is much, much larger appearing than the entire finger that I have here.